The movie kicks off with Sarah jolting awake, screaming from a nightmare filled with monsters. Being the youngest in the Stahl family, she finds comfort in her dad, Tom, who seems really kind and gentle. He tells her that monsters aren't real and helps her feel better. At that moment, her older brother Jack jumps in, teasingly throwing out some ideas to help her with her monster issue. Before long, their mother Edie joins in on this spontaneous early morning family gathering too, making us think about how wonderful this family is, at least for now. Tom Stahl runs a charming little diner in a quaint town, and his wife works as an attorney. He really embodies quiet humility, speaking so softly that you might think he's trying not to disturb the air around him. But hey, don't let that chill vibe trick you. So, there was this time when our easygoing Tom wasn't busy flipping burgers. He was turning the Philly underworld upside down. Once upon a time, he was one of the most feared and dangerous players in the Mafia. You know, the funny thing is, nobody in this quiet little town has a clue about it, not even Edie. Tom has moved on from that life, leaving behind his criminal days and embracing a more civilized way of living. He's tucked away his past so well that it's like it never even happened. But you know how it is, the past has a way of creeping back up on us. The Stahls appear to be living a pretty happy life and seem to get along really well. Tom and Edie are totally head over heels for each other, just like those teenagers who can't seem to separate at prom. Jack, their 16-year-old son, is a kid who has a quick wit but lacks a bit of confidence, almost like a damp sock. And Tom really turns out to be a wellspring of knowledge. Jack totally surprises himself during the baseball game. He snags a fly ball and helps his team clinch the win right at the last second. His teammates are all cheering, but Bobby Singer, the class bully from the other team, is getting really mad at Jack for messing up his moment. After the game, he strolls into the locker room and begins picking on Jack. Bobby's saying that if Jack believes he's better, he needs to back it up with a fight. He just goes along with everything Bobby says, letting his words do all the harm. Bobby ends up getting nowhere with him and just storms off, feeling completely frustrated. Later that night, Edie pops by Tom's work to surprise him. She's figured out a way to keep the kids occupied. She's looking to make up for something they never had the chance to experience, young love vibes. When they get back home, she appears in a cheerleader outfit and starts playfully teasing Tom. So, Jack and his girlfriend Judy are really focused on their studies right now, as you can tell. All of a sudden, Bobby and his friend just appear. It seems like Jack has really gotten to Bobby, and you can almost see him ticking down the days until he can finally confront Jack. As Bobby takes off in his truck, he nearly collides with another vehicle. He starts off by giving the universal sign of friendship, but then pulls back pretty fast when he notices the intimidating expressions of the two mysterious figures in the truck. Meet Billy Orser and Leland Jones, a couple of ruthless criminals on a wild killing spree across the country. They go around robbing and killing anyone they come across, making sure there are no witnesses left, not even kids. They're planning to hang out in small towns and steer clear of the big cities since the cops there are more likely to catch them. Sadly, it looks like this town is up next on their list. While they're driving around, Billy complains about how fed up he is with hopping from one dull town to the next. The next night, they arrive at Tom's diner just as it's getting ready to close up shop. Tom lets them know they're not serving, but Billy and Leland just go ahead and start ordering coffee like it's no big deal. Tom says the same thing again, but that only makes Leland more upset. Everyone in the diner goes quiet, and after a moment, Tom finally decides to pour them some coffee. In the meantime, he lets Charlotte, his waitress, know that she can head home. As she's about to leave, Billy steps in her way. He pushes her into a chair and makes unwanted physical contact. Tom tries to calm things down by offering them all the cash in the register, but that just makes everything worse. Leland tells Billy to go after Charlotte. Before Tom can do anything, he sees that Leland is a bit distracted. He takes the hot coffee pot and slams it right into Leland's face. In a flash, Tom goes into mob mode. He jumps over the counter with unexpected grace and snatches Leland's gun. Tom ends up taking down both Billy and Leland, even after Leland manages to stab him in the foot during their fight. Tom's story makes the headlines, and the local news is all about how he's a hero. In interviews, his employees often say that if it weren't for Tom, they likely wouldn't be in their positions today. It turns out his injury is minor, and he's back on his feet in just a few days. As Tom and Edie step out of the hospital, they're welcomed by a lively crowd of locals and friends, all cheering and showering them with praise. Even with all the excitement going on, Tom doesn't really look too thrilled about being in the spotlight. He steers clear of the reporters and keeps his answers brief. As soon as the Stahl family gets home, Jack can't contain his excitement and starts calling his dad a hero. Tom just laughs it off, saying it was really just a lucky break. A bit later, Edie looks out the window and sees a car parked across the street. She thinks it's just a fan dropping by to check out her famous husband, but Tom isn't on the same page. He starts to feel a bit suspicious and uneasy. Tomorrow's going to be quite a busy day at work. The Stahl diner is buzzing with folks waiting in line to snag a bite from the local hero's kitchen. In the usual crowd, three guys in suits really catch your eye. Carl Fogarty, the one in charge of the group, orders a coffee and keeps calling Tom Joey. So, Tom keeps saying he's not Joey and that Carl must be mixing him up with someone else. But Carl is totally convinced that Tom is really Joey Cusack from Philadelphia. They just keep going in circles. The more Tom says it's not true, the more Carl keeps pushing the issue. Edie, catching bits of their chat, starts to feel a bit on edge with their menacing vibe. She decides to speak up and tells them they need to either order something or just head out. Carl quietly slips away, a smirk on his face that hints he's got some inside scoop on Tom that nobody else is aware of. Right after they take off, Edie jumps right in and gives Sheriff Sam Carney a call to let him know about the trio that looks a bit off. Before long, the sheriff's patrol car is right behind their black ride, signaling them to pull over. Sam really emphasizes how much this town cherishes its peace and gives them a heads up about not stirring up any trouble. But you know what? Carl seems totally unbothered, just waving off the threats like they're nothing to worry about. Sam drops by to see Tom and Edie after finding out some pretty unsettling things during his investigation. He found out that Carl and his crew are involved in an organized crime ring from the East Coast, and they've got quite the history of being accused of murders and violent crimes. Sam didn't find anything when he tried to look up Joey Cusack. Instead, he stumbled upon a lead about Richie Cusack, a well-known mob boss from Philadelphia. So it looks like Carl and his crew are linked up with Richie and his gang. Sam is really curious about why these dangerous criminals are targeting a regular guy like Tom. All Tom keeps saying is that they've got the wrong guy. As soon as Sam leaves, Edie can't help but burst into tears, feeling completely overwhelmed by just how serious things have become. Tom does his best to comfort her, offering a bit of reassurance, even though he knows they're not really safe yet. The following morning, Tom notices the mobster's car parked right outside his diner. As soon as he spots it, the car takes off, and that totally sends Tom into a panic. He believes they're on their way to his place. He quickly calls Edie to give him a heads up, telling him to grab the shotgun, and then he starts hurrying home from work as fast as he can, despite his hobbling. Tom bursts through the door, panting and drenched in sweat, just to see Edie poised to pull the trigger. He feels a sense of relief when he realizes that his family is actually safe. But the way he looks has everyone in the house pretty worried. So that day at school, Jack is just chilling with his girlfriend when out of nowhere, Bobby and his friend push him aside. They begin to pick on Jack, throwing insults at his girlfriend and teasing him by saying his dad was brave while calling Jack a cowardly clown. This time, Jack isn't throwing out his usual clever comebacks. Even though he's really angry inside, he tries to just walk away, but Bobby's friend is standing in his path. When Jack gets backed into a corner, he finally loses it. He totally flips out, going off on both of them and hitting so hard that it leaves everyone around in shock. Looks like Jack really inherited his dad's fire, huh? Edie and her daughter are off to the mall for a little shoe shopping adventure. Just a little while after they get there, the mobster's car rolls up beside them. As Edie browses through the shoes, it hits her that her daughter is missing. She begins to look around and is totally amazed when she sees Carl Fogarty just sitting there in a nearby chair, looking so relaxed. Carl's not there to hurt them, really. He's working on getting Edie to realize that Tom isn't really who he claims to be. Carl casually tells Edie to check in with Tom about Richie Cusack, saying he's Tom's brother. He's hoping she'll think about why he's so skilled at taking lives. Carl shares a personal memory, saying he'll never confuse Joey with anyone else since he's the one who seriously hurt his eye with a piece of barbed wire. Even with all that's going on, Edie stands up for Tom and tells Carl to keep his distance from her family or he might end up in trouble with the law. Carl doesn't really seem all that worried, though. Hey, just a quick reminder to grab your shoes. So, back at home, Tom is really letting Jack have it about that fight he got into at school. So, they're in the middle of a heated argument when Jack just can't help himself and throws out a sarcastic comment. In our family, we handle our issues without resorting to hitting anyone. Nope. In this family, we take care of them ourselves. Tom gets really angry and ends up slapping Jack, which makes Jack leave the house in a huff. When Edie gets home later, she shares with Tom that she bumped into Fogarty at the mall. She went to the courthouse and got a restraining order, but Carl's comments about Tom are still playing on her mind. So Tom spots Carl's car rolling up outside. Tom rushes out of the house, shotgun in hand, with Edie right on his heels, shouting at Fogarty to get off their property. Carl tells Tom to put down the gun and join them for the trip to Philadelphia. When Tom says no, Carl brings out his ace from the hole. Jack has been taken hostage by him. Edie starts to panic and rushes over to her son, but Tom gently holds her back, reassuring her that he's got it covered. He tells Edie to head back upstairs and sets the shotgun aside to make sure Jack gets released. As soon as Jack is back inside, Tom lets them know he's not planning on going anywhere with them. Right when one of Fogarty's guys pulls a gun on him, Tom goes all out. He snaps the guy's arm, smacks his nose a bunch of times with his hand, and then takes down another goon with 2 shots to the chest. Everything goes quiet when Carl takes a shot, hitting Tom right in the shoulder. As Edie watches through the window, she feels a chill run down her spine. It's the first time she truly understands just how skilled and unsettlingly at ease Tom is with violence. Carl leans over the injured Tom and casually asks if he has any final words to share. So, Tom mentions that he really should have taken care of Carl when they were in Philly, which also kind of reveals that he's actually Joey Cusack. Just as Carl is about to wrap things up after hearing the confession, a sudden gunshot echoes, and he collapses, lifeless. So, it turns out the shooter is Jack. He got his hands on his dad's shotgun, but you can tell he's really shaken up by what just happened. Joey's covered in blood from head to toe, and he definitely gives off that vibe of a dangerous guy. He grabs the shotgun from Jack and pulls him in for a warm hug. While Tom is recovering at the hospital, Edie shares her thoughts with him about that odd gut feeling she has. That maybe Carl Fogarty was actually telling the truth. What really raises her eyebrows is how effortlessly Tom handled those 2 criminals. As tears roll down her cheeks, she pleads with him to just be honest with her. So, you really did take out some guys back in Philly, huh? Joey totally did. Tom Stahl didn't do that. Edie can't believe it. Tom shares that he turned his back on a violent life years ago and put in a lot of effort to reinvent himself. But for Edie, there's really nothing that hurts more than realizing she's been lied to by the guy she believes she knew so well. Looks like she won't be able to trust him for a while. After a couple of calm days, the sheriff drops by to have a chat with Tom and Edie. Sam thinks that Tom might not be telling the truth. He mentions that those risky mobsters are typically undercover and wouldn't venture so far from Philadelphia and put themselves at risk unless they were completely certain they were targeting the right person. Right when it looks like Tom's ready to spill the beans, Edie jumps in. Hey Sam, it seems like you have a bit too much free time, huh? He's right there with Tom, brushing off all of Sam's valid doubts and concerns. When Edie starts crying, it finally pushes Sam to leave. Once the door closes, Edie's public persona disappears and Tom reverts to his darker self. Edie steps back and gives his face a quick slap. But Joey just won't let her go. He pushes her down onto the stairs and the tension between them really ramps up. Wow, it's so intense that Edie's back is really going to feel it if this keeps going. Later that night, Joey gets woken up by a phone call. It's Richie, his brother, on the line. And let's just say he's not being very nice. Are you going to come see me or do I need to come see you? As soon as the sun comes up, he gets on the road and drives for 16 hours nonstop to Philadelphia. So, when he finally makes it to the bar, Richie says he orders a particular beer. A secret signal that a tough-looking guy nearby picks up right away. The guy takes him over to Richie Cusack's fancy mansion. Joey goes through a quick pat-down for weapons before he finally meets up with his brother. Richie welcomes Joey as if they're having the best reunion ever. Later on, Richie talks to Joey about the trouble he got him into before disappearing. So it turns out Joey had some personal issues with Carl Fogarty. He not only left Carl with a hurt eye, but he also took out a bunch of his guys. So when Joey took off, their boss was really mad and Richie ended up facing the consequences of his brother's wild move. It's a grudge he's held onto ever since. So Joey's looking to make peace, but his brother isn't really on board with that idea. What do I need to do to fix this? Hey Joey, you know there's a chance you could really get hurt, right? That's the cue for the guy behind Tom to jump into action. He wraps a garrote around Tom's neck and attempts to choke him. But Joey totally saw it coming. Using just his bare hands, he fights back, breaking free and quickly taking down 3 guys. Richie picks up a gun and starts shooting, but his aim is all over the place. So, Joey just dashed out the front door and Richie is right on his heels, chasing after him outside. But Joey's still in there. He shuts the door and takes out the last bodyguard in the house. So, it's just Richie now. Feeling a rush of panic, he pulls out his keys, eager to lock the door and keep himself safe. Well, it looks like it's too late now. Joey's already on his way to him. Wow, Joey! Wow, Richie! After rinsing off the blood in a nearby lake, Joey takes the long drive home, getting there just as his family is about to sit down for dinner. The Stahl family still comes together at the table, even though Joey has kind of strained their connection. They really don't have a lot to share. So the latest news about Tom is totally unexpected for them. It's tough to wrap your head around the fact that the dad and husband they believe they knew had such a hidden dark side. Now that all the threats are behind him, there's a sense of hope that a part of him will stay buried for good.